And we're live. Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's doing really, really well today. And welcome to another week of the Bad Website Club. My name's Ramon. If you're here for the first time, Jess and I were doing a series of learning programs and cohorts for folks learning to want to do more with web development, to do more with their computers, to do more with making websites, all with taking away that need to have something perfect when you launch. Now, if this is your first time joining, there's usually two of us. Jess sadly couldn't be here today. She sends her best, but hopefully will be with us next time when we meet. So I thought we'd spend this week doing something super fun, which is learning to write Markdown. But before we do all of that, I'm going to spend some time saying hello to folks. I got Michael saying hello from New Jersey. Good to see you, Michael. Laura Langdon says hiya. Hey, Laura. Der von den Bergen is writing a little bit of symbols here. We got hello, Ramon, and then some stars. How are you? Interesting. I think this has something to do with what we're going to be doing today. Cool. So before we do any writing, because we're going to be doing some writing today. I'm going to go ahead and Jeff von den Bergen says, very cryptic. Maybe so. Let me show you a little bit about what's been going on with the Bad Website Club and what the next couple weeks looks like. So, just going to bring up the Bad Website Club website, which you see here. Deb Fowler saying hello from snowy Denver. Hi, Deb. Good to see you. Let's talk a little bit about what it is that we're doing this week and what it is that we're doing next week. So if you go to our website, badwebsite.club, which I'm going to pull up here into the chat, you're going to see essentially a rundown of what the Bad Website Club is like. Also, very importantly, a link to the code of conduct. If you're not familiar with that, it is a set of behavior guidelines that we expect everybody participating, myself included, to abide by. So I'll ask you to please check that out. bit.ly/BWC-COC. Cool. So when we go over here, let me just show you what the next couple weeks looks like. Because here's the thing. As time has passed, as we go through the seasons of learning, as we call them, you're going to see all of the recordings starting to get stored here. So if you missed it, we had the launch party, which is recorded. Got a YouTube recording there. And then for season 1, which is no code, which is what we've been doing so far, if you open up this sessions tab here, you're going to see all of the recordings for each of the sessions we've done so far and upcoming ones. So 2 weeks ago, we had the folks from Wix to teach us Wix. We had a demo stream and a labs stream. Then we had the folks from WordPress teaching us WordPress. Week prior. This week, we're going to be doing Markdown with yours truly. So we're going to be doing demo and labs there. And then next week, we're going to have the really kind folks from StackBlitz teaching us how to do web publishing, which is going to be super fun. And maybe a small spoiler, we'll use a little bit of the knowledge that we've picked up this week. So if you're watching this in the future, hi, hope the future's good. This is going to be good knowledge to have. So that's enough of my waffling on. Let's take a look at Markdown. And folks, if you're watching in the chat, please let me know what use cases you found for Markdown, and we're going to play around with some of these. Until then, let's talk a little bit about what Markdown is. Markdown is a spec or a standard or a way of writing websites, writing content for websites, which goes back to at least 2004, probably further back as well. And it is a conversion tool for web writers. I'm going to read a little bit out loud here. Markdown allows you to write using an easy to read and easy to write plain text format, and then convert it to structurally valid XHTML or HTML. So cool. There's a couple of jargon pieces here we need to address head on. HTML, we might have heard of that before if we've made some websites manually, but if we haven't yet, that's totally fine. Let's talk about what HTML is. And it's short for hypertext markup language. And it is a set of building blocks that lets us state what content goes into a website. And this is made up of a whole bunch of stuff like headers, paragraphs, links, images, text. What am I missing? Lists, audio, pieces of audio. Yeah. You can put in an MP3 file or something and then like play it in your browser. You've probably done that dozens of times. Starlight's got a hot take here. BB code is better than Markdown. Hot take away. Could you give us a link to what BB code is, please? So yeah, before we look at how HTML is written, I actually want to spend some time looking at just Markdown. I'm just going to write some Markdown. I'm just going to learn what Markdown is. And then maybe tomorrow, or maybe later today, we'll have a look at what what HTML looks like after we've written some Markdown. But if memory serves me correctly, and I'll send out this link, we should have a set of, is it basics? If I click here on basics, yeah, this will show us a bunch of ways to be able to write our Markdown. For example, how to write a header, how to write a second level header, some paragraphs of text, a third level header, a quote with a header in it. And then we can see what the outputted HTML looks like. And we're not going to worry too much about what that looks like for now, because we'll get to HTML later when there are people much better at explaining than me. But yeah, we can see what it looks like after generating. There's our first level header, our second, the couple paragraphs. You can see we've got lots of these symbols here, these bigger than and smaller than symbols to open and to close a paragraph. And that's the terminology normally used for describing how these tags are declared, how these elements are declared. So we got an H3 and then close that H3. And so we got H1, H2, block quotes. Yeah, that's that quote we were talking about before with some paragraphs inside. So cool. I think with these examples, these first-hand examples, we can go into a tool that I discovered that I would love to share with all of you to write a little Markdown, just to get to grips with the syntax. And to do that, I'm first going to share with all of you this link here to the Markdown basics, as they're called. Cool. Oh, we got some comments here. I learned Markdown for writing docs, says Laura Langdon, but the longer I use it, the more I want to use it for everything. Yeah, fair. So far, I've written HTML without Markdown. I would be delighted for any help either Markdown or BB Code would offer me, which is why I'm here, so I can learn how to use Markdown, or MD, short for Markdown, for my website. And Different in Began says, off topic, I wrote most of my bachelor thesis in Markdown. And fun fact, so did I. So, folks, if you have any questions as well as you're watching, please feel free to drop them. It's just me today. We're chilling. We're having, we're learning around about Markdown, and then we'll get using it. So cool. Let me bring up now Dillinger.io. First, I'm going to make it larger, but before that, there's a link so y'all can play with Dillinger as well. I'm just going to go ahead and make this larger. Folks, please. Actually, do you know what? I might expand this window. Let's have a look. Yeah. And keep the chat here on the side. Make this a little bit larger again. Have a look. Does that look okay? we got two panes next to each other. We've got a document, and what we're essentially doing here is writing some Markdown. If it looks too small, please give me a shout. I've got an eye on the chat. Also, please drop in your questions. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let me see here. I'm going to create a new document, which I already did, I realize. And I'm actually going to delete everything and start over. Cool. Throwing caution to the wind. So on the left here, we've got our Markdown text. And on the right, we will see the preview of what's generated when we write it. So let's try already some of those. And here's a fun fact. If it's HTML that we're generating or any kind of other text, it means we can use it to create websites, which you'll see firsthand tomorrow. So let's make one. How about, let's use what we've learned so far. Hello and welcome. Welcome to my website, which looks good. And I think if I click here, it'll show me what it's generating, which is quite a few things, but I see there that P. Cool. So that's a paragraph. We learned that from the instructions beforehand, but we want this to be a header. So if I use that equal sign, now you'll see it's nice and big because it's a header. Ooh, Tsukino Megami says, for those that don't know, Discord supports Markdown. I did not know that. Cool. Thank you. Dillinger looks like Overleaf, but for Markdown. Super cool. Laura Langdon, could you please share a link to Overleaf? And I will happily highlight it here. BB code, BBC code, BB code / bulletin board code is somewhere between HTML and Markdown, and it uses square brackets. Very cool. Thank you. Cool. So we've got our big thing here. Now we can be like, I'm happy to see you. This will be like my subtitle, the second level header. I'm going to use the minuses for that. If I read the instructions correctly, this is slightly smaller. In fact, I can confirm if I look at the link. We got an H1 and an H2. Fantastic. So there it is. Hello and welcome to my website. I'm happy to see you. Do you know what? We should put in what we always put in one of our websites, which is some lorem ipsum. If you don't remember from last time, lorem ipsum is a set of pretty standardizedly, I don't know what to write, but I need some text, just to see what my website will look like. So I'll just grab a little bit of lorem ipsum. There we go. Do you remember we've seen these a couple times already? Oh, Laura Langdon is sharing the link to Overleaf. Thank you, overleaf.com. Very cool. Thanks, Laura Langdon. Awesome. Cool. So we've got higher level header. What is it? Header 1, a header 2, and a paragraph. So far, so good. Let's look at what else we can do with Markdown, because of course I've mentioned the headers. I've mentioned the H2. Oh, wait, we have the H3s as well. That's with 3 hashtag symbols. Where can I find you? Yeah. Check out the Bad Website Club. And then I'll just put a URL to the Bad Website Club. So what have we got? Header 1, header 2, some text, a header 3, and a little bit of text and a URL, which is all well and good. But if we're going to be writing some stuff and we want to have a link, how would we do that? So let's do that. Let's take a look here of what we've got in terms of options. So we've seen the headers. We've seen, emphasis. We'll come back to that. Lists. I wonder if there's a way to write links described here. Here we go. Markdown supports two styles for creating links, inline and reference. With both styles, you use square brackets to delimit the text you want to turn into a link. Inline style links use parentheses immediately after the link text. So we will do square brackets around the text that we want to link, and regular or smooth brackets. That's what we call them with Jess a lot of the time. Smooth brackets to put in the website address or URL. Optionally, you can include a title attribute in the parentheses. Interesting. So example link, example.com, and then in quote marks with a title. So I'm going to try this relatively less verbose way of having square brackets and then the smooth brackets. So let's give that a try. Starlight says, the good thing about with Markdown is everyone uses a different implementation. Cough, Discord cough. So by implementation, we means like different folks will, given that Markdown is a standard or a suggestion or a commonly agreed way that this text should be written, it can deviate between different places. So for example, Discord, for example, will have a different agreement on how specific parts of Markdown will be interpreted. But nothing to worry about too much because we're doing the pretty agreed upon stuff. Hazello Dazzle says, I love Markdown. I use it in Obsidian to take notes. What is Obsidian? Please give us a link. I love this. We're sharing resources. This is what Bad Website Club is all about. So cool. So check out the Bad Website Club. It's one way to do that. But I kind of want to make like this whole thing one big link. So I can do that with square brackets. You're going to see as soon as I put in the closing one, kind of disappears. And that's because I need to put in the smooth brackets around the link, the address I want to go to. So I'm going to do smooth brackets here and here. Now, clicking here, you can't quite see it because it's quite small on my browser, but at the bottom left of my window here, you'll see it says https badwebsite.club. And if I were to open that in a new tab, you're gonna see, huh? It's opened in the Bad Website Club. So cool. We've made a link. We've got our document and where can I find you and all of that good stuff. What else can we do with Markdown? I thought I saw something about lists, and I'd love to take a look at that. So we've got two types of lists, right? We've got unordered lists and we've got ordered lists. And as the name might imply, unordered lists don't really matter what order they're in. But ordered lists do have an important order, and that's why they go 1, 2, 3. I kind of want to start with a list of the services that we offer as the Bad Website Club, as the Bad Website Agency, to my agency's website. Now, here's a fun fact. Underlining all of this, while it does look really nice to read, can be really kind of cumbersome to keep up with, as you just saw when I was changing my title. So what I can do is replace this, and this is a standard that Markdown allows us to have. So instead of underlining like this for a header, I can actually use a single hashtag. And same goes for the lower level or second header. I have a double hashtag. And that's why the triple hashtag turns into a third level header. And if I want to have a fourth level header, there you go. I am a fourth level header. Jeff van den Bergen says, I really like how GitHub flavored Markdown is GFM. And there's also GitLab flavored Markdown, GLFM, but only after they renamed it from GFM. So yeah, as you can see, there's like different styles, different tiny deviations on like how Markdown is used. But as said, the core parts, the core essentials of what we're looking at today isn't going to really deviate from place to place. Oh, I like this term from Der von den Bergen. Dialects. That's a great term. Thank you. I like that. The dialect, just like you would in a language. Cool. Oh yeah. So back to our list. So I'm going to stick to, let's see. What websites have you made so far? And let's make that, this would be a list. Oh, you know what? This will be in order, and I'll tell you why. That's because we've made 2 websites so far and in a different order. So first off, and you see I'm using a minus here, our Wix website. I'll just get my Wix website because I can't remember the URL because my memory is not great. Oh, goodness gracious me. I forgot how. Y'all can't see it yet because I'm grabbing the link, but oh goodness, we made something fun. So first I'm going to grab that address, paste it in here. So https badwebsiteclub.wixsite.com, my site, and you'll see it here. Oh wait, this needs to be an ordered list. Sorry. That's a 1 and a dot. There's our list. Number 1, our Wix website. So if I click on this will bring up our Wix website, which is a choice of style. But yeah, and you see, there's our first website we made. That was 2 weeks ago. My goodness, how time flies. Lovely. That's the first. The good thing about standards is that there are so many of them. Very true. Der von den Bergen says it's quite something. It really is, isn't it? As we go, folks, please ask questions, make suggestions. Oh, check this out. When I went to make my second list member and pressed enter, Dillinger was like, oh, you want to make a second part of your list, right? And if you've used stuff like Google Docs or Microsoft Word to make lists, you might recognize that sort of like automatic detection that you want to make a list, which is quite handy, I find. So, okay, our second website, that would be our WordPress. That's like I could spell. Our WordPress website. I'm just going to quickly grab the link to that. I'm just going to do it here through a different window so that you're not all just bored and watching me just log into stuff, really. So there's the second one. So we've got our give me 1 second, folks. Cool. So we need our HTTPS Ramon's portfolio 2.wordpress.com. Cool. Let's try it out. So if I go to our WordPress website and open that up, we will see it there. It's also, how did you put it, Der von den Bergen? Quite something. My name is Ramon and I make bad websites. Got to have the construction worker there. But yeah, so this was a week ago already. Cool. So there we go. We've got 2 list members. But you know, we haven't made any more, unless we count this bad website club one. But no matter. So that's how we make lists with Markdown. Now, let's apply a little bit of the knowledge we've already built. So, because we've got here our Wix website URL, our WordPress website URL is good and all, but why not make it a link? And we'll do that with square brackets. followed by smooth brackets. Go. Our Wix website. And you see, that's already looking significantly smoother. Nice. What websites have you made so far? Oh, we don't have any more websites, so I'm just going to leave that blank. There's our lists. I think the next thing to do will be to try out, see what else we can do with Markdown. So we've made, we need an unordered list. What would be a good unordered list? What are some kinds of pets we can have? You can tell my imagination is just firing on all cylinders here. So what are some kinds of pets we can have? Well, we can have, we've seen, wait, Tsukino Megami has a great point. Languages learned so far, much better. What languages have you learned so far? So I've learned. I haven't learned that many. Spanish. If I scroll down here, you'll see our bullet list shows up. English and German. It's cool because like the order of learning them does not matter, so it can be a bullet, just a list, an unordered list. And there's a couple ways to do it. I've done it with stars, but it can also be done with, say, dashes. They'll still show up as bullet points. And if I want to have a sublist, for example, let's just say, I haven't learned it myself, but let's say I wanted to list, oopsie, kinds of Spanishes I've learned. For example, Castilian. I've also learned. Okay, hold on. I don't want this to get controversial. Spanish languages, as in languages of Spain. Catalan. I have not learned Catalan, but it is a language spoken in Spain. Valencian. You'll see by putting them 2 spaces over, I have now made a sublist. And if I wanted to go 2 levels deeper, totally fine too. Sub language. I don't know. So you can see there I can have sublists as well. So I can go as deep as I like. I don't know if there's a limit to the levels I can go down. But yeah, that's how you can write lists in Markdown. And in fact, in sublists, the delimiter can vary. By the way, folks, feel free to join in with suggestions, questions, and all of that. Yeah, so that's what languages we've learned so far. Gonna put that there. I had an idea for a second and then it disappeared. What are you? What is it called? A testimonials. Yeah. Okay, folks, this is where you come in. I'm going to need some testimonials for our bad website agency. Stef van den Bergen, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to take one of your quotes from here. It's quite something. You see, I'm using this bigger than sign to tell Markdown, hey, this is a quote. Yeah, von den Bergen. He used the wrong kind of dash. How do you do an M dash? Is this it? Give me one sec. There we go. I think that's an N dash, actually. So it's quite something, Defunden Baggen. And you can see I can have quotes. Let's find an inspirational quote. Oh, hold on. I'm going to take one from Tanya from last week from WordPress. I'm going to paraphrase her. Totally launch before you're ready. Another end. I just made a mistake. Oh, no. I'm so sorry, folks. I just zoomed out by accident. Oh, goodness. You can totally launch before you're ready. How did I do the M dash again? Is it like this? Nope. There we go. You can totally launch before you're ready. Love it. Love it. Cool. I think this covers a couple of things that I wanted to look at with Markdown. One more thing I wanted to do was getting an image. Yeah. Let's do an image. How do we do images in Markdown? Links. Images. Image syntax is very much like link syntax. Inline titles are optional. Reference style. Interesting. And Defunden Bergen is making a suggestion here. Suggestion, but not sure if it's too much to start with. Putting all links at the end and using link variables. Could you please? Well, first we're going to find out if it's documented here, Defunden Bergen, and if not, I'll ask you to please do that for us. So let's put an image in. I need a link to an image. Oh, wait. Really? Reference style is what I actually mean. Didn't know what it was called. Like, let's go back and look at that real quick. Reference style. Look at that. So we can have an ID, and then that ID can be the link itself. Do you know what? I kind of want to try that. Okay. Sorry, folks. I got a little bit distracted and excited. Let's try that real quick. Defunden Bergen. So you're saying that I could, let me just grab an example from here. Interesting. Yeah, exactly. This also works with links. Super cool. Let's give that a try. So let's start with this one. Check out the Bad Website Club. So I'm going to replace that with BWC_site. And then lower down, let's say at the very end, how does it go again? Square brackets, then the name, and then the link. Cool. Let's give that a try. BWC site : https badwebsite.club. That work? Check out the Bad Website Club. There it is. Okay, this is super cool. I did not know you could do that. It's kind of, God, goodness, this would have made writing my bachelor thesis significantly easier. Let's do this right away. Wix site. Then I'll define down here Wix site as this one. Oh, I like this a lot. The WordPress site. That's cool. Wow, and this all just works, huh? No way. V Prevail says, holy macaroni, Batman. I did not know this was a thing. I didn't know either. I like this. Different to says it doesn't make that much sense in a list paragraph, but if you have links in a paragraph, it makes the paragraph so much cleaner. Yeah. I'm glad it's not just me. Look, Tsukino Megami Double O is also saying, like, me neither. I love it. This is great. Okay, so awesome. So we can make our links in a paragraph significantly shorter. That's very cool. And since it's a variable, we can do this for images. Let's go back to images again, which would be an exclamation mark or a bang. Then the alt text, we'll get back to that in a bit. And then the image where it lives on the internet. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab, I know I've got one image that I can think of, which is an image from my current website, which is ironically called, or maybe not ironically, called conference picture. It's a very old picture. So let me grab that real quick. First of all, we'll just, so let's put a header here. What do you look like? And then we will first do the exclamation mark. And we'll have the brackets for the alt text, which again, we will do in a bit. And then I'm going to put in the URL, ramonh.dev/asset/confpic.jpg. So if we scroll down now, check it out. It's a picture of me with my dog. Well, my parents' dog, but still. Cool. So that's how we can make an image show up in Markdown. Fantastic. If we remove this, by the way, it's no longer an image. So it's very important to have the exclamation mark there. But let's talk about alt text for a second. What is alt text? Alt text is what shows up if somebody is looking at this, let's say, a website, but only at the text. What does that mean? That means that they're using, for example, a device or a piece of software called a screen reader, that what it does is describe or recite the website out loud. Now, of course, when you're reciting a website, you can't, like, the fact that the piece of text doesn't tell you what the image is of isn't very helpful. So what is recommended, I'm not going to even say recommended, what is a conscious thing to do is to think of those people that are using, for example, the screen reader software, and describe the image in case that device happens upon this image. So for example, what would we do here? Ramon holding a dog. Short and to the point, right? Now, and you're going to have to trust me on this. Now, if somebody is looking at this text, and what the text would sound like, for example, would be like, header, hello and welcome to my agency's websites. Subheader, happy to see you. Paragraph, lorem ipsum, etc., etc. And when it came upon my website, it would say image with a description, Ramon holding a dog, with an alt text. Sadie says, hi, Ramon, that picture of you and the doggy is adorable. Why, thank you, Sadie. Good to see you. Cool. Now, so I've been looking, so we spent the last 45 or so minutes looking at what Markdown is, how it works. What I want to spend some time doing now is looking at why, like, what is this for? And in order to do that, and folks, please drop your questions in the chat as well. I'm here to answer them. Is that this Markdown will be interpreted or translated, or the more technical term would be compiled into something else. When we're talking about websites, this will be compiled into HTML, which we saw a little bit of before. And it's not necessarily the only way we used Markdown, but it is probably one of the more common ones. So in fact, if I were to preview as up here, you'll see Okay, it goes into a bunch of stuff. So for example, let's have a look at it in HTML format. So I'm just gonna click here on preview as HTML. So hello and welcome to my agency's website. And you'll see it is actually stylistically quite similar to the Bad Website Club website. And that's because it's mostly just HTML. Now, there's something cool that your browser can do. If you click here on this menu, I'm using Google Chrome to present. If I go up here, and then I think oh no, wait, y'all can't see that, right? The menus? Yeah. There is this menu at the top right, and then if I go, I think on tools, nope. I always forget how to do this. I want to look at the source. Developer tools. Hello. Not quite what I had in mind, but it'll do. So let me just zoom in here so y'all can see a little bit better. As always, folks, please give me a shout. If something's too small. Cool. So what we see here is what was generated by that Markdown as HTML. And HTML is a language that our browser can read so that it can display this content to us. For example, and if I hover it, you'll see it highlight, which is quite cool. And it's putting some extra stuff in there. These extra, they're called properties. We're just going to ignore those for now. I can see an H1, big header, H2, smaller header, P or paragraph, H3, a paragraph, but what about the link? And if I expand this, because HTML is structured like a tree, like it sort of like spreads out roots, you'll see there is the A or anchor. And all of this stuff I'm throwing out, by the way, I shouldn't spoil, but very, very soon we'll be learning all of this in a new cohort of our free boot camps. Shh, don't tell anybody. Yeah, well, we've got an anchor that links to the Bad Website Club website with the text, check out the Bad Website Club. So that's one way to like generate all of this, right? There's our ordered list, OL, and with each list item, each of which contains a link. That's all well and good. And scroll down. Let's take a look at that image. Oh, yeah, let us look at that image. So in that image, it has a source, which is that picture of me with my dog. And check it out. Under Alt, it says Ramon holding a dog. So here's the thing. If somebody was reading this on if somebody was using a screen reader to describe this website to them, to recite or to read out the contents of this website, it would say, you know, as we were saying before, right? Header 1, hello and welcome to my agency's website. Header 2, I'm happy to see you. Paragraph, Lorem Ipsum, and so on and so forth. And when it gets to the image, it would say image with description, Ramon holding a dog. And this way we ensure that folks, even if they're listening to your website, which is kind of cool, actually, even if they're listening to your website, they are able to get the contents of the image as well. So it's always a really, really solid idea to put in an alt description, an alt text. In fact, most social media websites, if you're doing social media, should encourage you or at least allow you to put alt text for your images when you post a picture on, say, Mastodon, which is a social media network of networks. Anyway, cool. So that's previewing, and we've got styled HTML as well, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. Let's give that a try. It looks mostly the same, but if you notice, it's a little bit, for lack of a better term, funkier. Like there's some colors, the font's a little different. And if I'm not mistaken, it's going to like look nice on a phone because, hold up, let me go back real quick. Yeah, see here, it's like stretching out a little bit because my image is quite large. I just went back to the non-styled one, but if I go to the styled one, You're going to see the image shrinks nicely. This is because this styled HTML automatically has styles in it. Now, don't worry too much about this. I said we're going to cover this in a few weeks. I don't know. We're going to cover this soon. So do not worry about that. But yeah, the cool thing is we have a way to do that as well. Likewise, we can preview that Markdown itself. Now, this is cool. That's just the Markdown, which isn't anything we haven't seen before, which is quite cool. And finally, we've got PDF because, of course, if we're turning stuff into documents, why not have some PDF? Eh? So there we go. We've got a PDF that is generated from the Markdown. Not super well over one page, but that's okay. And of course, we can export that. So we can export, for example, that Markdown code, that HTML code. And you'll see at the bottom left here, I've now downloaded an HTML file. Y'all can't see it because I'm just sharing this. But if I drag that in here, what I've done is I've opened this HTML file that I downloaded in Chrome in my browser. I'm just going to zoom in. You're going to see, there it is. In fact, how do I view source? Oh, hello. I just pressed Command Alt U to show the source. And this is the HTML that was generated from that Markdown. Cool, but we're not concerned too much with HTML. Let's stick with Markdown real quick and ask the question, why use this? Because if you're looking at that HTML, there's a lot of like bigger than and smaller than signs. So the first big part is like, okay, this is, if we're looking at like this, it's more readable, it's easier to follow, it's more straightforward to follow at a glance, perhaps, than a bunch of bigger than and smaller than HTML signs. Number one, cool. But here's the thing. It's a language that's mostly used for writing. So what you're going to notice over time as you get exposed to it, what's that? Oh, Michael says there's also an HTML bottom at the top right. Where's that? Scroll thing. Sorry, just like WTF is, that's cool. Oh, nice. And it's got like Markdown instructions. Oh, markdownguide.org. I'm going to share that real quick. And then we'll get to your point, Michael, because I'm quite intrigued by that. HTML, am I? Oh, you mean this one? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my bad. Exactly. You can look at the generated HTML here too, which is, very nice. Although I would love it if it didn't add all of these like class stuff, but that's okay. Totally cool. What I want to do next is look at some ways that we can use Markdown in our day-to-day life. So for example, let's talk about blogging for a second, right? When you write a blog, you're going to be writing essentially you're going to be writing content that will turn into HTML, right? That a browser can read. When you read a blog, you're reading HTML, but a lot of the time it's written in Markdown. And this is one of the reasons I wanted to show it to you today. Because what you can do is, for example, and there's a lot of different platforms for blogging. My website itself, I host on my own, my blog. Hold up, just a second. Let me grab a link to it. So here is my blog. I'm going to just use my blog as an example. All of my blog posts are written in Markdown, but they are converted into HTML so that I can read them in my browser. For example, if I click on this, what you see here, all of this text here is written in Markdown, right? And then my website knows how to automatically style that and interpret it so it looks nice, which is cool. But you don't have to like use your own website. You can also use blog platforms, and you've seen some of these. There's like Hashnode, Medium. I'm going to show a quick demo with dev.to, which is one that I like. If you don't know it, here, let me grab a link and put that in the chat. And you're going to see the same thing that you saw before. There's my blog post that I was showing earlier. I'm going to click on that. And if I click on edit, you're going to see Markdown. See, I'm writing some Markdown, and that's getting automatically generated as HTML. There's our lists. Are there any links? There's a header. Oh, we didn't do this, did we? We forgot the styling. How important and how silly and embarrassing of me. Let's mess around with stylings for a second, like emphasis. For example, making text bold. I'm going to use double stars here. So with double stars, you will make the text bold. I think if you use underscores, yeah, you'll make it italics, slanted for what's the term? Emphasis. And there's a couple of other ways that you can do this. I think with this one's cool. I love this one. The tilde or the squiggly, I believe, is the scientific term. If you do double squigglies around it, you'll do what's called a strike through, which means it's just struck through. You might need to do. I like doing it for fun sometimes. So yeah, sorry, I got distracted. So one use of Markdown is for writing this sort of long form blog post or even short form. Writing Discord. Who was talking about Discord earlier? Somebody mentioned that Discord uses it. And writing docs so far. I wrote most of it. Deflindenbergen said I wrote most of my bachelor thesis in Markdown. Where did I see somebody mentioned that Discord? Tsukino Megami mentioned it. Yes. Let me find your comment. I should have bookmarked it. My bad. Oh no, I can't. Found it. For those that don't know, Discord supports Markdown. Yeah, so if you're using Discord, you can also write Markdown in it, for example, to get links, to get emphasis, and that sort of thing. Matthias says, I love using Markdown for all my notes. That's super cool. Somebody mentioned Obsidian. Can we get a link to that? Hold up. Obsidian. What a lot of people do is use this tool with a free tier called Obsidian that lets you write your notes in Markdown and link them together, I think. And there's lots of platforms that lets you do this as well. And one of which I'm going to dive into tomorrow. And it's going to be interesting because tomorrow for our labs session, what I would like to do is introduce you to what the Bad Website Club website code looks like. We're just going to briefly touch on GitHub. I'm going to let an expert tell us how GitHub and Git works, but we can use Markdown to write our notes. And specifically tomorrow, what I would love to do is write up a contribution guide. Because here's the thing about the Bad Website Club website. It's open source. We'll talk a little bit about what open source is in depth as we go along with the Bad Website Club. But one of the many things that it means that any of you, if you want to suggest an improvement to this website, which frankly, I don't know how you could, because it's such a very, very bad website. It means that you can make that suggestion. You can look at the code. You can make that suggestion to improve it, and then we can adopt that suggestion. We can merge in that suggestion if it looks good. So what I will do tomorrow is write up a contribution guideline in Markdown. So tomorrow we'll do that. In fact, let me just grab that link from our schedule. And Tsukino Megami 00 says it's perfect in its imperfectness. Imperfect. Yep. I mean, yeah. Thank you. I agree. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to get better over time. So here's the thing. Let me grab that YouTube link. plop that in the chat. And this time tomorrow, come and hang out and let's write some Markdown together and make that contribution guideline. So here we go. There's a link in the chat. And yeah, that's it from me, folks. We've learned the basics of Markdown, where it's applied, how it treats different pieces of code. And this time tomorrow, we'll be using it live on stream. If you have any questions, don't worry if you didn't get to asking them today. I'll bring them tomorrow. We'll hang out. It'll be fun. All right. And with that, I will say, unless there's something last minute, I will say thank you all so much for joining. It's been a joy as always. And I'll see you this time tomorrow. Until then, have a good one.